how to mentally start supporting yourself after years of self-abandonment slash self-sabotage. I would love to hear what you have to say. Do you think you can make a video? Shout out to Julie Perez 7505 because the answer is yes. So with that being said, welcome or welcome back. It's your favorite mental health specialist, Ty Guidance. I want to inform you that when it comes to your healing journey, that there's no right or wrong way to do so. So always take what resonates and leave the rest. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. And because there is no right or wrong way to heal yourself, your healing journey is going to be based off of you, based off of the energy, the time, and information that you apply and put in towards yourself. Healing could take days, healing could take weeks, healing could take hours, healing could take months, healing could take years, and honestly, it could take your entire existence. Don't rush it. There's no specific timeline on when you're going to grow and become the best version of yourself. As long as you're applying what resonates with you, everything is going to work out for you. But specifically for today's video, when it comes to you supporting yourself from self-abandonment and self-sabotage after years, the first thing that is going to be recommended and that you need to keep in mind is that you have to be open-minded. You have to be willing to understand that the old version of you is no longer going to exist in your current reality or your future. So when you are letting go of old behaviors, old mindsets, old behavior patterns, people, places, and things, you're going to go through withdrawals. If you're used to being in a toxic and corrupt environment, you separating yourself is going to cause you to feel uncomfortable. So the first thing you have to do is practice being gentle and being kind to yourself. In order for you to heal and not self-sabotage, whether it's mentally, whether it's psychologically, whether it's with friends and family, no longer to feel abandoned internally or externally, you have to be gentle to yourself. That is the first thing you're going to do in order for you to heal yourself. You have to keep in mind that you are healing the little boy, the little girl in you, your inner child, as people like to say, and you're parenting yourself to be this version of you now. Especially if you've experienced, like most people, from ages 1 through 7, trauma early on in your childhood. Those are your early stages of development. And whatever you've been programmed is what you've learned and continue to go off of. So the second thing you have to do once you practice being gentle, once you understand that you have to be open-minded, is identify your inner child. If you grew up in corruption, chaos, and confusion, you may not have known from ages 1 through 7 that it's not appropriate and that it's not okay and that it's dysfunctional, So you have to take a moment to reflect your environment. You have to take a moment to self-reflect your upbringing, your surroundings. So what did you hear growing up? What were you told about yourself in the world growing up? What did you witness growing up? If you grew up in poverty, did you witness people stealing? Did you witness people not able to have a roof over their head? Did you witness being hungry? Did you witness the lights going out? Did you witness, if you suffered from abuse, people getting beat and harmed, physical violence? Did you hear people tell you that you were not going to be worthy? Did people tell you that this is not something that you're going to do in the future or that you're not capable of this? The things that you have been ingrained and installed affect you. Now, this doesn't mean that it's permanent, but in order for us to identify where the self-sabotaging is coming from, where you've learned to self-isolate yourself or you were put isolation onto you, we need to know the root. We need to know where did it stem from. And as you're identifying your surroundings, once you decide to be open-minded and commit to removing these limitations, you need to know how did it affect you. And this part could seem challenging because when you are 1 through 7 or early on in your years of life, You only know what you've been exposed to. So you may not know if it's right or wrong. If that's your lifestyle, if that's what you see every day. Like poverty may have been normalized for you. Dysfunction may have been normalized to you. You may have been complacent and being ignorant because maybe you didn't have the resources and the finances to further your education or to travel, or you didn't articulate your feelings. You didn't come from a family or a household or an environment where you're able to express yourself and communicate without being yelled at or being beaten, whatever it is. The reason why it's important to understand how it affected you is because that is now what people say your trauma response, which is fight or flight. It's not necessarily the situations that we're exposed to, it's how we handle it. So if you've been experiencing pain and suffering your entire life, you may close yourself off when it comes to coming up with a solution. You may be dismissive. You may be paranoid. You may not trust people. You may not trust yourself. You may be insecure. It stems with a lot of projection. And with these outcomes, more than likely, is going to be negative. So you have to realize that if you've been in a low vibration your entire life, how that affects you until you grow up and you decide that you no longer want to resonate with these things is the reason why. So you have your cause and you have your effect. Once you're able to identify where your causes are, where the source comes from, what somebody has said to you, what you've been programmed, what you've been taught, you can realize what the effects are of it. So once again, if you were beaten, that could affect you physically because now you may be embarrassed or ashamed to go to school, or that may affect you by being afraid and just having fear and just being paranoid. So without getting too far into that part, the third thing you have to start doing is asking yourself questions. So this is similar to the second thing, which is being aware of your identifying, your upbringing, your environment, what you were programmed to, what you were exposed to, how did it affect you. But you need to start asking yourself now, why do you feel the way you do? So there's a difference between how things affect you versus how things make you feel. So if you were beaten, that can affect you from being paranoid versus feeling afraid. So being paranoid affects you because now you may not trust people, right? But the feeling could cause you to be angry. The feeling could be sadness. The feeling could be depression. The feeling could be closed off. The feeling could be isolated. You need to be able to identify where these limitations came from. So if somebody said that you were not going to be anything in life, did that make you feel self-isolated, self-abandoned? I don't know why it's so challenging for me to speak. Because you need to know the difference. Why do you feel abandoned? Why do you feel lonely? Why do you feel like you have to be closed off? What did these people do to you? What did you see? How did it affect you? So the fourth thing you need to identify is what is the result and the desires that you're expecting from healing yourself. So once you're able to realize where your self-abandonment issues and wounds stem from, once you're able to identify why you self-sabotage yourself, what are you expecting? And everybody's goal is going to be different. Some people want to heal themselves so they can help themselves and their family members. Some people just want to heal themselves and separate themselves. Some people just want to heal themselves and let go. What are you desiring? What are you trying to receive? Because when it comes to healing, it's like a big scale. What you get from it is whatever you want to. So the fifth thing that you're going to do, those are the 5 recommendations that you have to be aware of, is commitment. Now, there are 3 things specifically in order for you to start applying today when you come across this video in order for it to work. But before I give you those 3 things, the 5th recommendation of you being self-aware of your abandonment issues and sabotaging yourself is the commitment. Are you ready to do the work? In order for us to come up with a solution, once again, how I like to teach and educate you guys is breaking things down all the way to the bone from A through Z, 1 through 10, right? Identifying, going over, understanding your mental, understanding psychologically, understanding your emotions, understanding your spirit, understanding like being okay. Because when it comes to healing, you have to be able to let go. So before you can let go of something, 1 through 5, are you willing to be open-minded? Are you willing to identify and bring up the past trauma? Are you going to be willing to answer questions? So be vulnerable. Are you willing to communicate? Are you willing to grieve? Like I said, withdrawal. Some days you may feel happy. Some days you may feel sad. Some days you may be angry. Some days you may be mad. It's going to be a cycle. Are you willing to separate yourself? Are you willing to cut off any family members, friends? Because when you commit to something, you can't go back, all right? So you need to keep those 5 things in mind. Those are the most important things that you have to do first. And in these videos, when I make videos like this, I try to make it very simple. Step 1 and step 2, right? So step 1 is what you need to be aware of, how things affect you, the cause. Step 2 is going to be the effect. So now that you have this information, the 3 things that you're going to start applying, once you go over and evaluate and you take time for yourself, right? 1 through 5 are now 1 through 3. So it's 8 things in total. But the first thing you're going to do is detox. So mentally, you have to detox yourself. And when you detox yourself, you're purging, you're going through withdrawals, you have to be able to express how you feel. So being vulnerable is another way. But detoxing your emotions. So if you used to be angry and you used to be sad and you never told anybody that you were angry and you never communicated, you need to start articulating yourself. You need to start communicating. Whether that's with a journal, whether that's listening to music, whether that's verbally confining in a therapist, me, your favorite mental health specialist, by going to our website and booking a session, or somebody that you can find in. But you have to learn to let go of what of the thoughts that you have that you've been programmed to, that you suppressed. You got to get rid of the overthinking. So a journal, listening to music, communicating with friends and families that you love, a therapist, myself, or someone that you know is going to listen to you. You have to release the unwanted thoughts that do not belong to you. The second thing that you have to do, and you guys have to do this repetitively until you feel comfortable letting it go. Okay? The second thing is practicing. So you have to start practicing expressing how you feel in the journal. You have to practice communicating with loved ones and friends. You have to practice putting in effort to see your therapist. You have to practice communicating with your favorite mental health specialist. You have to practice and know that it takes time. So being patient and knowing that as long as you are doing what you can to heal yourself, right? Because there are other things that you can do, but that's just the main thing to move forward. So the third thing is taking action. And with action, you need to come up with a solution. So I personally, on my website, I have a solution for you guys. I have 2 separate outlines, right? And I go over step by step what needs to be done in the best way that has worked for me and people that I work with. Or you can come up with your own plan as you journal. And I'm going to make this into, I think it's called ebook, a digital book, so you guys can have a copy. Or I may just talk about this in my next YouTube video. Let me know if you guys want that, of explaining an exercise step by step on with a plan and a solution, because everyone's plans and solutions may be different, right? So let's just say you're trying to heal your self-sabotaging and your abandonment because you grew up in poverty. The actions that you may have to take may be removing yourself from family, cutting off any old friends and families that no longer resonating with you, right? Going to the gym. Like, everybody's way of healing is going to be different. Some people heal better when they're being active and physical, so like going for a walk, working out, exercising. Some may be listening through other people or meditation, so watching podcasts, listening to motivational speakers, listening to music, right? Or some is more verbal, like having conversations with your favorite mental health specialist, a therapist, or somebody that you trust in. So going through your emotions, taking action, and being patient, coming up with a plan, and practicing daily. Because it's a lifestyle. Healing is a lifestyle, it's a routine, and it's a transformation. So I'm getting off the video here. Shout out to, once again, Julie Perez for asking this question. If you guys are interested in more videos like this, let me know if this was helpful. Let me know what you think. Make sure you share, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure your post notifications are on by turning on that bell. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. If you have questions, DM me on Instagram, as well on TikTok at Ty_guidance, TYI.guidance on TikTok. And once again, if you want a one-on-one session, feel free and go to the website. All the information will be down in the description box below at tyguidance.summer.com. But stay tuned. Thank you so much, Julie, once again for asking. I'm here for you guys. And when you go on my Instagram and TikTok, I go live, but most importantly on my story, I do questions and answers for you guys, right? To see what we need to talk about, what needs to be discussed. And just stay tuned because there's a lot that needs to be said and a lot that I have planned for everyone who is choosing to do better and wanting better for themselves. And the goal is to reach the 1,000 followers here on YouTube as well as all other platforms so I can go live, because these videos may be limited and it's a lot to digest. Okay, love you, bye, thanks for watching.